Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Still Ashley. In today's video, I'll be making a dress inspired by this dress. Worn by Monica and Friends, Season 3, Episode 2. I started working on this probably over a year ago, but we're gonna finally finish it today, so let's get started. Alright, so I started by making the pattern for the bodice of the dress, and I just used a basic sloper that I had and adjusted it to be a halter top with a little cutout in the front. Then I cut that out and then I slashed it so that there would be a pleat at the top and the bottom instead of a dart at the side and the bottom. Next, to make the collar, I just traced the neck hole of the bodice, and I also traced the neck hole of the back part of the bodice. I made the collar 2 inches in width with a 1/2 inch of seam allowance on one side and a 1/4 inch of seam allowance on the other side. Then I cut the bodice and collar pieces out of muslin to test it and make any adjustments that I needed to. I took out my lovely adjustable dress form and measured it to make sure it was the same size as my waist measurement. Then I was ready to drape the skirt. I just took a big rectangle of muslin and pinned it down the center and then smoothed it out the best I could to the side. I didn't really want any darts in the skirt.
This is not a drill.
Then for the back of the dress, I draped it so that there would be a seam at the bottom of the back, just right above the butt. For the collar, I totally messed up. It was too rounded, so when I put it on the dress form, it was laying flat completely, which was not what I wanted. So I adjusted the pattern so that it would be less rounded on paper, so it would stand up straighter on the dress form. And here's the completed pattern pieces on the dress form. In order to cut out the bodice pieces from the fabric, I had to remove the threads from the pleats so that it would lay flat. So I just pinned everything down and cut out 2 pieces of each pattern piece. And then Kyoko decided to come hang out with me while I was sewing and get his hair on everything. For the bodice, I just sewed everything right sides together and then flipped it inside out and ironed it down. I put all the pieces back on the mannequin so that I could figure out where exactly I wanted to attach the bodice to the skirt and where I wanted the slit to be. After I attached everything together, I just used this red bias tape to finish the edges. I used the bias tape as kind of a facing for the slit, and it was pretty difficult to get that sharp point at the top, but after ripping it out a couple times, I finally got it. After pressing the slit, I hand sewed the facing to stay on the inside. The next step was the hem. I tried the dress on and had Alexi help me mark the bottom of the dress, and then I just went back in and straightened out the line with the ruler. I trimmed all the uneven pieces and then I pressed it at about a 1/2 inch and sewed it at a 1/4 inch. Then I folded it over again using fusible webbing, which is basically a glue that's activated by the iron. This way you won't see any stitching from the outside. The next step was the zipper, so I switched out the foot on my machine. And I just used an invisible zipper and I tried to sew as close to the teeth as possible. It ended up being like maybe 1/8 of an inch crooked, but I wasn't about to fix that. I really hate sewing zippers. It's close enough. The last step was the closure for the collar. I was originally thinking of doing a hook and eye closure, but I didn't think it would be sturdy enough. so I went with a button instead. And I just used the buttonhole foot on my machine. And of course it didn't work the first time, so I had to rip some of the threads out and start again. But I finally got it to work, and then I struggled to cut it open. The next step was to sew the button on. So I just marked with a pin where the button should go. And I just used whatever button I had in a drawer somewhere, so don't judge me. And to finish it off, my sewing teacher always taught me to put the knot underneath the button so that it wouldn't show from the inside or you wouldn't feel it or anything. And finally, here is the finished product, inspired by Monica's red dress. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.